We're now joined by Stuart Winter, who is a writer and the environment editor in the Daily Express newspaper. So, Stuart, you've been here today looking around the reservoir, seeing things and that, and you've met Sir David. So what have you made of it all so far?
It's been an amazing day. Really enjoyed it. I've been to Abberton many times before as a birdwatcher, and it's fantastic to see the way it's been transformed. It's looking really fantastic birdwatching habitat. Some wonderful work here, and to actually see some of your heroes here as well. I mean, Sir David and Bill Oddie. I've had the privilege of meeting both of them in the past, and they're just iconic people. From obviously we know them from television, but they're really important conservationists. I mean, the messages they get across, vital for actually helping places like this to become like this. Because I'm sure if there wasn't a conservation movement, it could well just be a reservoir. And I mean, fortunately, Essex and Suffolk Water, having spoken to the chief executive, making this a great place for nature as well as sort of conserving water supplies is an important part of what you've been doing here. But then again, going back to Sir David and Bill, they're the people who actually get that message out there.
Now, you're writing for the Daily Express, so what sort of coverage are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a new job there. I'm nature editor for the Express Online, so I'm actually the nature writer for the Sunday Express, and I write a weekly column on there or on the paper which I've been doing for the last sort of 20 years about bird watching, and also write about pets and generally about wildlife. But recently I set up this new system where we're actually giving a news feed 24/7 about what's going on in the natural world, and it's going very well. We've had some great exclusives. Today we announced that the puffin, and everyone knows the puffin, but the puffin has been officially classified as endangered, which means it's on the same category of conservation concern as the great panda and the tiger. And I mean, you can still drive from here a couple hundred miles north and see puffins on their nesting grounds. But to see that this bird is under such pressure environmentally that its numbers are going down so fast that it should be classified like this is very worrying.
So that's something that people who are interested in wildlife and nature, they can sign up for online, is it?
Yes, it's online.
Yep.
Yes, so you don't have to sign up for it. All you do is go Express Nature, and you'll see stories come through during the day. I mean, the key issue that we want to get out there is that nature needs protecting, and at the same time we also carry animal welfare stories. I'm into pets. I love animals, and to get some pets and all animals sort of well looked after is a sort of another message that we try and get across.
We're talking to Stuart Winter, who is a Daily Express journalist and also writes a nature column in the Sunday Express. So just tell us a bit, Stuart, then, about some of the kind of things that you get up to. You've written a book, Tales of a Tabloid Twitcher, which is available, isn't it? And you've also written a follow-up as well, haven't you?
That's right, yes. I mean, I've, as a journalist, I enjoy writing, and I've been very lucky over the years to get into a few escapades. I've been away with Bill Oddie. We went to Trinidad together, and we recently went to Iceland together. So I've written a travel book called Birdman Abroad, which was sort of travel adventures, and
so that's the second book.
That's the second book, and then in Tales of a Tabloid Twitcher, it was basically the story about how I got into birdwatching as a sort of 5-year-old, how I managed to persuade to get my editor to give me a column in the paper. That was 20 years ago. And
because you started out with the Daily Star originally.
That's right. Yes. Well, I mean, journalistically, I was a crime reporter on News of the World, and I was a news editor on the Daily Star, and then I was environment editor. So I've been around a bit. But outside work, I've always been a bird watcher, and as I say on my sort of Twitter feed, I'm a sort of a birder first, and the journalism pays the bills, but the birding is makes life worth living.
Now, you've seen a little bit of the site. I think you're going to go down to some of the hides a bit later, aren't you, and check out what's really about. But what sort of caught your attention in terms of the birds that are here at Abberton?
Well, it's fantastic. I mean, we're just coming to the end of the migration period, so that spring excitement that you get as birds are going through is perhaps just passing through. But while I was interviewing Bill Oddie, what should be flying around him at the back was a cuckoo. And you don't see cuckoos every day. I mean, cuckoos are one of these birds that are really seriously threatened. And it was just going along the margin, most probably looking for a reed warbler's nest to lay its eggs in. It's fantastic. And then again, I saw a ring plover, which was which I think was actually a bird, the tundra form of ring plover, which is a bird that's flying up to the high Arctic. They tend to come through slightly later, so they're one of the last migrants that go through. And we all know ring plovers from sort of the seaside beaches, but the tundra ring plover is a sort of high Arctic bird, and that's fantastic. I mean, you don't see them they just pass through and they're gone. They have these incredible journeys. Must probably come from sort of southern Europe, maybe even from somewhere in North Africa. 3,000-4,000 mile journey up to some rocky little outcrop where it's waiting for the snow to melt, and then it will lay its eggs.
So what makes a birder, do you think? I think you deal with this in your book, don't you?
Birders, I mean,
give us a flavour of what sort of a person
well,
they
sure.
are.
I mean, well, Bill Oddie actually, he wrote a sort of seminal book for birdwatching, which is called Bill Oddie's Little Black Bird Book. And he defines the sort of birders and birding and what twitchers are. So a birder is basically someone who goes out looking for birds. And I think birdwatcher became a bit of an unsightly word, or a bit of a word that was not very easy to use in everyday sort of parlance. Bird spotter sounds a bit weird.
Twitcher.
Well, twitchers.
Don't like that.
Yeah, well, twitchers are birders that actually go around and chase other people's birds. So you've seen a bird, you've found it. So most probably all twitchers are birders at heart, and all birders would most probably like to be twitchers if they had the time to go off and chase around the countryside. But the two are compatible. They're not sort of isolationists.
One of the interesting things that happened during construction here, there was a big pile of sand just next to the visitors centre for some time, and what happened was the desert wheater came and made its nest in there for a period. So I think that's more common to the desert, isn't it?
Oh, desert wheatears. I mean, where this one came from, I mean, they breed in North Africa, but they also breed out in sort of the Middle East. So it's likely that it most probably slight bit of it's called reverse migration. It may have been moving from one area to the other and got its took a left-hand turn rather than a right-hand turn, so to speak, and has ended up in Essex. But they're incredibly rare birds. And funny enough, the actual term is wheatear, and it's a really great story. The only reason why is because everyone thinks it's spelt wheatear as an ear of wheat, but it's got nothing to do with wheatears, and it comes from an Essex word or a Saxon word. Which actually comes from, dare I say it on TV, actually was the old Saxon word for white arse. And wheatears, all wheatears have a white patch on their rumps, and they turn up in spring, and so we get the northern wheatear, which is the one that breeds in Britain, and it was known as the white arse, and that's most probably been changed for to be more genteel, and hence that's why it's now become wheatear, and there's a whole sort of tribe of them, so you can find them all around Europe and in the Middle East. But the desert wheatear is a really, really good bird. I mean, that would have brought in a lot of twitchers.
It did, yeah. There was people queuing along the roads and the banks and the dams trying to see it and things like that, which I think is the thing that people see, isn't it, when they see on the news and things like that, the lines and rows of people, which is quite incredible.
That's it. I mean, it sometimes seems incredulous that you can get a bird most probably weighing a few grams, certainly less than the weight of a mobile telephone, turns up, and then suddenly you can have sort of a couple of £1 million worth of optics, tens of £1 million of optics, all pointing down on this small bird. And I can understand if someone who's can't quite work out the math on this, sort of say, is that the sort of logical thing that sort of adult people should be doing? But when you think that the desert wheatear most probably travelled 3,000 miles to get here. What's the difference of driving sort of just up from London or from Colchester or something like that to come and see it? No.
Now we're going to hear from the main man, Sir David Attenborough, in just a short while, Stuart. So just while we've got you, just tell us a bit about, from your book, because you've met Sir David before, haven't you? Tales of a Tabloid Twitcher, which is your book. Just tell us a bit about your previous meetings with him.
Well, I've been fortunate to meet Sir David several times, and I mean, I think he was one of the people who most probably, black and white television back in the 60s, who actually sort of made me first pick up a pair of binoculars and just sort of see the places that he went off, and we owe so much to him. And I've been fortunate in the job of being a journalist of going to see him. I in fact went to his house a few years ago, and we sat down, and I've been given an hour's interview with him, and you think, oh, what should I ask him? So I just asked him to sort of like regale his favourite moments in nature. We spent the next hour just, all the great stories of him sort of seeing birds of paradise and snakes and lots and lots of adventures. And he's such a professional, because I had a camera. I decided to film it for posterity, and he just knew when the tape was coming to an end, and he just sort of like slowly finished his interview so that it ended on a high. And he was just a real, consummate professional.
That's
far
excellent.
better than I am.
Oh, no, you're doing well, Stuart. Stuart Winter, who's writing for the Daily Express and Sunday Express. So, what were you, if people want to get hold of your stuff tomorrow?
It's on, I mean, all they need to do is Google Nature Express, and there will be material on there. I mean, we update it all the time. I mean, today we've had a very big story about the fact that puffins are being classified as endangered. We had a big story earlier in this week about the government not actually appointing a proper minister to sort of look after the natural environment. So please come on. And one great thing about coming onto a website is that you can comment straight away. If there's things that you don't agree with, or if there's things that you want to sort of get off your chest, let fly.